Good morning. So students, today we'll be discussing about power distribution networks. As I told you, power may be generated on chip or off chip, and then power may be generated on chip or maybe off chip, and then it must be properly distributed. So power ground distribution network is equally important for the overall functionality of the chip. Right? So power, because actually it is most important, we can say, because we know what is the importance of power supply, right? If everything is there with us and if power supply is not there, then whether your circuit work, no, right? So power supply is very important for the performance of the chip. So today we will be discussing about this. So after we discussing this topic, unit number 3 also will be complete. Okay. Then two topics from the digital phase lock loop and maybe interconnect modeling, right? That I will take 2 lectures for completing that 2 points. And after that, I will start discussing about newer technology, newer devices, right? So I hope that enough number of students joined. Right? From today, your lecture timing is changed. It will be now from 10:10 to 10:10 to 11. So 50-minute lecture. So I hope that students, yesterday you have enjoyed the lecture. Okay. And I hope that screen is visible. Screen is visible. And I am audible. Okay, students. Please tell whether I am audible or not. Anyone? Yes, okay. So today we will be discussing about power distribution networks. Yesterday we have seen various ways to generate regulated DC power supply, or maybe deriving from the battery which is charged from the AC mains. Right? We have discussed about that. And yesterday in the expert lecture itself, we have already came to know that what is the importance of power supply, right? And now batteryless. What is batteryless, or you can say newer methodology for the low power variable electronics, mostly renewable energy sources, right? Yesterday sir has given a very nice lecture. It is a very recent research topic. So it is for the variable electronics, like we can say various measuring instruments which are variable to the human, and measuring maybe the blood pressure or maybe the heartbeats, monitoring the heartbeats, or maybe the you can say hearing aid, or right, different types of variable, or sensing various organs functionality, etc. So that must I hope that you understood the topic. It was relating to our only our mainstream, that is chip design, right? So now I will start the lecture as it is 10:13. So I hope that good number of students are have joined, 28. So please quickly tell your friends to join. I have already declared on Wednesday. Next Wednesday, you have 10 mark class test. And this time you have to share the screen if you have any problem. Immediately, if you have not shared the screen and not, if I have not verified that there is really a problem, I will not consider that problem, right? So I will issue the rules for the quiz now, this time. Okay? So you have to follow it. You have to share your screen if you have really a problem. If you have not shared your screen and if you are facing problem, I will not be responsible from the class test. So this time, why? Because we must differentiate between the students who are working very hard and preparing nicely and those who are not working, not reading, and they are using other means, right? Copying, etc. So that is not allowed. Because उसमें learning कहाँ हुआ? आपने अंदर देख देख के किया तो उसमें learning तो हुआ ही नहीं, right? What is our aim? So, okay, I will start now the lecture. So, power distribution network. So, as you know, transistor requires stable power supply voltage to operate properly. We all know, right? Transistor always requires stable power supply for the faithful operation. The supply voltage produced by switching voltage regulator, typically located off chip or maybe on chip, is delivered to most gate within an integrated circuit. Right, the network that achieves this delivery process is referred to as power ground distribution network. The design of power ground distribution network is one of the most critical tasks to guarantee functionality, accurate timing, reliable operation of a high performance IC. Specifically, a good power and ground distribution network should simultaneously satisfy four constraints. What are these four constraints? The functionality of the circuit should be preserved, right? Whatever way you distribute your power, your functionality of the chip should not be degraded, but actually it should be preserved. Whatever the functionality you have designed, that must execute properly in presence of this power supply. The timing characteristic should not be degraded, right? Your timing characteristic of the digital logic should be preserved. It should not be degraded at least. The gate oxide reliability should be maintained. Gate oxide means device degradation should not occur. You should distribute your power supply and ground such that your device will not be degraded. And electromigration constraints should not be violated, right? Because what do you mean by power supply distribution? It means some definite amount of current, AC and DC current is flowing. Actually, DC current is flowing through particular interconnect, right? So that every wire or every width of the wire is having some limitation, or you can say some limitation, limited value of the DC current that it can allow without having the electromigration problem. So, right, so that constraint should not be violated, right? Let's say for particular wire in particular technology, 180 nanometer, let's say 1 milliampere is DC current is allowed. So your current should not be, whenever you are distributing the power supply, your current should not exceed 1 milliampere through the DC power supply line, right? So that's what I want to say. So there are four constraints that must be preserved. One is functionality should be not affected, timing characteristics should not be affected, device degradation and interconnect degradation should not occur, right? So this is all about this thing which must be satisfied. So now let us see. So power ground distribution network. So as I told you, transistor requires stable power supply voltage to operate properly. The network that distributes the power supply generated on chip or off chip is also very important for overall performance of the chip. Good power ground distribution satisfy four requirements. Functionality should be preserved. Timing characteristics should not be degraded. The gate oxide reliability should be maintained. Electromigration constraints should not be violated. So last two is related to your circuit degradation, right? So circuit should not be degraded. You should distribute your power supply such that the overall power dissipation should not exceed certain limit. So that will ensure that the heat produced that is within certain limit. As a result, what will happen? Your device degradation will not occur. Not only that, your interconnect degradation will not occur. Right? So you should distribute your power and ground such that these all four constraints are satisfied. That is most important. Right? So now we'll be discussing about first topic, that is power delivery and power supply noise. Right? So the fundamental characteristic of power supply noise, earlier also I told you, are described in this section. Specifically, here they have given the power ground noise model. Right? This is the modeling of interconnect, which is distributing the power supply, your VDD and VSS. So you can see here. So the fundamental characteristic of power supply noise are, we are going to discuss, especially power and ground noise in synchronous digital circuit must be properly modeled, right, and presumed in advance. The effect of power ground noise on circuit operation and reliability must be taken care while designing. Right? Why it is very important? Because you have applied scaling. So scaling trends of power and ground noise with technology must be such that the generated noise should be within such a certain limit, and the overall functionality, your timing characteristic, your reliability, everything will be not badly affected. So let us discuss about first power supply noise. So we know that we have to distribute two things. One is power and another is ground. So power and ground voltage should be reliably distributed to satisfy the functionality and performance while considering the overall resources devoted to this distribution network. Efficient distribution of power and ground voltage is very challenging due to high current demand with fast transition time and reduced operating voltage. Right? What things have over a period of time when we have applied scaling? What happened? Large amount of current with very low operating voltage and with a high speed current, that is switched. Right? The speed of the circuit is also increased. So the power and ground, power is VDD and ground is VSS, of a logic gate are commonly assumed to be ideal during the design process. In practice, however, this node fluctuates due to power and ground. Though you have taken care, lot of care is being taken, but what will happen? Let's say this is your VDD node and this is your VSS node. So normally VDD will not be VDD, but it is VDD plus delta VDD. So little bit fluctuation is always present. So let us assume that, right? Okay, this much is the fluctuation. Similarly, your ground, that is also fluctuating, VSS plus delta VSS, right? So what is now this? We need to understand why this is delta VDD is there, right? Even though we have taken care, why this fluctuation, power supply fluctuation and ground fluctuation occur at all. So let's say, consider here is your VDD, power supply. So you can see here this interconnect is modeled as inductive because length of the power supply distribution is, it is a global wire. So that is why it is offering some inductance. Not only that, it is also offering some resistance, right? Because it is very lengthy, very long conductor, right? So that is why what will happen, because this is inductive and this will offer IR drop and this will offer LDI/dt drop. So because some current, whenever you distributing, current will flow because of this parasitics, right? So VDD equal to minus IT R total, right? Total resistance of this length, right? So whatever is the length into what is the dimension of this wire into, so that will give some resistance. Let us call it R total. Similarly, some inductance will be there. They depend on what is the length. So it is L total. So what will happen? Delta VDD is nothing but it is minus IT minus I into R minus L into DI dt, right? Similarly, what is delta VSS? it is equal to IT into RT plus L di dt. So what is happening actually? This VDD will go down, right? So whatever is the VDD here will be smaller than that. So this will be minus. And what will happen? VSS is not 0, but it is going up. It is moving up. So difference between the 0 and VDD, that is, this is going down and this is coming up. So what is this difference? Your SNR is decreasing. Signal to noise ratio is, you can say, reducing because voltage is dropped. So you can see here, the power ground noise is produced by simultaneous operation of enormous number of devices. What is the reason of now this? Right? Not only that long interconnect or global wire, power ground noise is produced by simultaneous operation of enormous number of devices operating at a high clock frequency of the order gigahertz in a synchronous digital IC. Especially power and ground noise refer to voltage fluctuations respectively on power and ground distribution network. The simultaneous switching of a large number of resistors and logic gate require a significant amount of current drawn from the power supply. This current flows through the parasitic impedance of the power distribution network, causing both static and dynamic voltage fluctuations. Similarly, the current flowing from the switching logic gate to reference ground of the power supply causes voltage fluctuation on the ground distribution network, referred to as ground noise or ground bounce. Right? So because large number of devices are switched on and off, this noise is produced and you cannot stop it. Right? So the expression I have already told you, delta VDD equal to VDD minus So as a result, what will happen? Right? This is your VDD, right? So you can see this kind of, because of LDIDT drop, noise, this kind of noise is added, right? And your voltage itself is also degraded because of IR drop, right? So now delta VDD, this noise, delta VDD must be within certain limit. Similarly, delta VSS must be within certain limit, right? If it exceeds that limit, then you can say the functionality will be affected. So you can see here different type of noises. So that is together called simultaneous switching noise, right? This noise is called simultaneous switching noise. That is because of LDIDT noise and IR drop noise. So the switching current flow from ideal power supply through power network, switching circuit and ground network. As a result, this noise is produced. What is another reason? The static component of current is greater in magnitude than dynamic component. So overshoot and undershoot caused by parasitic inductance are therefore not sufficiently effective to produce positive power supply noise or a negative ground noise. Right? So that is why as I told you, this VDD will be negative, right? So this will be negative and this will be positive. Why it is so? Because there are two reasons. One is switching current flow from ideal power supply through power network, switching circuit and ground network, right? That is why that cost drop. So that is why this is always minus. So that is why this delta VDD will be always, it is a drop. So that is why this VDD will go down. Similarly, this VSS. So it is said that static component of current IT is greater in magnitude than dynamic component. So overshoot and undershoot caused by parasitic inductance are therefore sufficiently effective to produce a positive power supply noise. So not this inductive will be not enough that it will produce a positive this drop, right? So this is leading. This resistance is more. So that is why this is always minus delta VDD. And not only that, negative ground noise, right? So ground noise will also not be negative. So it is always positive. So this 0 is going up and this is going down. That's what they want to say. So I is always greater than, you can say, di by dt. They want to say. So that is why this is the scenario. So resonant behavior is considered an exception since the power supply and ground voltage oscillate at resonant frequency. These oscillations typically produce undesirable overshoot and undershoot. They are produced as I have shown you, right? This kind of undershoot and overshoots are produced always. So that is why where the power supply voltage can exceed nominal voltage. So VDD noisy must be greater than VDD nominal. Similarly, the ground voltage can decrease below the nominal reference voltage. So VSS noisy must be smaller than VSS nominal. So the issue of resonance is further, you can see in this diagram. So the average noise within sufficiently large number of clock cycles. The average noise within sufficiently large number of clock cycles. This metric determines the amount of variation in the delay of a critical path. That is, maximum operating frequency of circuit under power supply variation is dependent upon parameter. Right? The average noise within the sufficiently large is must be within so average noise is always a primary design criteria for electromigration, right? The maximum peak noise that can be tolerated to ensure the accurate functionality of the circuit is determined by noise margin, right? Peak noise that can be tolerated, that is dependent on noise margin. A power supply noise greater than maximum noise can change the logic state of a node, causing circuit to fail, right? So power supply noise, if it is greater than maximum noise, then it can change the logic state of a node, causing the circuit to fail. So that is why average noise and peak noise, these two are very important, right? Because average noise determines the amount of variation in the decay of critical path that can be tolerated. That is, maximum operating frequency of the circuit under power supply variation is dependent upon average noise, right? Maximum frequency can be used for the operation, that is always dependent on this noise. You should increase the frequency, the noise is under control, right? Beyond that, if you increase the clock frequency, then the circuit may fail also. That what this want to say. So the time domain representation of peak and average lower noise is shown. A related clock waveform are also shown for a synchronous digital circuit. A significant number of resistors switch simultaneously with a rising edge of a clock, causing considerable drop in the power supply voltage. Right? Simultaneously, many nodes are switching off to on, that will lead the drop in the power supply voltage. The significant effect of power supply noise on circuit operation and reliability is very important, right? And designer must take care while designing. This noise must be, they should choose the clock frequency such that the noise can be tolerated. Average noise and peak noise is within certain limit, right? So you can see here, average noise is calculated like this and peak noise is like this, right? This is average noise is calculated for a cycle. Total noise divided by this time. So now effects of power supply noise. So if we see the effect of power supply, what will happen if your noise is not within certain limit, right? So first is noise margin will degrade. First thing what happened to the circuit is your noise margin degradation. Not only that, delay uncertainty will increase. Delay uncertainty will increase. Then it will also rise clock jitter, and it will also degrade the gate oxide reliability. So right, what are the four effects? First is noise margin degradation, increase in the delay uncertainty, clock jitter, and degradation in the gate oxide reliability. So now first we will be discussing, see the diagram, noise margin degradation. So you can see here the CMOS logic gate, and that is supplied with the VDD and VSS. You can see here, and load is connected as this C load. Right, rising edge of the clock is applied at the input, and you can see here output. What will happen? It is inverted. So you can see here falling edge is received at the output. Similarly, if falling edge is given at the input, you can see rising edge is the available at the output, right? So high to low transition at the output and low to high transition at the output, right? That is the diagram. So in ideal CMOS circuit with single-ended signaling, power and ground network also serve as voltage references for the on-chip signal. For a high to low transition at the output, the minimum output voltage VOL is equal to VSS. Similarly, for a low to high transition at the output, the maximum output voltage VOH is equal to VDD, right? In the presence of power supply noise, however, VOH may decrease and VOL may increase, right? Reducing the both noise margin high and noise margin low, right? So what will happen? Okay, when we apply the rising edge, right? We are getting the falling edge at the output. So this falling level, this VOL, that must be equal to VSS. That is, you can say your VSS is free from noise. And when we apply falling edge, output is rising edge. At that time, this rising level, this higher level, that must be, that is your VOH. So that VOH must be actually VDD, right? Now, what will happen when noise is present? So noise is present and VSS will increase. And your VDD, your VOH will decrease. Your VOL will increase and VOH will decrease. So that will degrade your noise margin, right? As I already explained you earlier also. So it will reduce both the noise margin. So degradation in the noise margin causes CMOS gate to be less immune to noise applied at the input of the gate, right? So noise immunity will be degraded. Then second is delay uncertainty due to power supply noise. So delay uncertainty due to coupling noise has been already we have discussed during the discussion of the global signaling, right? Another significant source of delay uncertainty is power supply noise, right? Coupling noise we have already seen, right? That is also increasing the delay uncertainty. And another source of delay uncertainty is power supply noise. So here we are discussing delay uncertainty due to power supply noise. The delay of logic gate is dependent upon drain current flowing through gate to charge or discharge the load of gate, right? So the delay of logic gate is dependent upon drain current that is flowing to charge or discharge the load capacitor. Based on the Sakurai alpha power model, the drain current ID is a function of power supply voltage VDD. So you can see here, based on alpha Sakurai model, right? We have seen three type of model. First is that is low power model, right? Sakurai model is low power model because your I is proportional to VGS minus VT raised to 2 nahi, 2 ki jagah it is 1.3 or 1.2, right? So your ID is smaller as compared to your another two model, constant voltage and constant field scaling. So when VGS less than VTH means cutoff region current is 0. When VDS is smaller than VDS sat, that is linear region. At that time current is IDO dash and VDO dash is saturation voltage. And saturation region, when VDS is greater than VDO dash, then current IDO dash is flowing, right? So you can see here IDO dash equal to IDO VGS minus VTH divided by VDD minus VTH raised to alpha, and current will be following this expression, and voltage will be like this: VDO VGS minus raised to alpha by 2, right? So IDO refer to drain current at VGS equal to VDS equal to VDD. So IDO is your, you can say, VDS saturation voltage, and VDO is the drain saturation voltage at VGS equal to VDD. When VGS equal to VDD, at that time your VDO is drain saturation voltage. For single-ended CMOS circuit, the power and ground network also serve as a voltage reference for the on-chip signal. So power supply noise is transferred to input transition of the gate. Right, so you can see here this fluctuation that will lead to your this rising edge is transferring the noise to this input itself, right? So what will happen? So you can see here that is transferred here. So delta VSS1, right? This is VDD1, VSS1. Then you can see further, this is delta VDD1 and VSS2. So finally that noise appear here, right? If your transmitter is having the noise, transmitter signals are already affected by noise, then at the receiver also they mean to say noise will be there, right? So at the final load capacitor, you can see here, your VDD is VDD plus delta VDD2 and your VSS is VSS plus delta VSS2, right? And you know that what is the, when this voltage itself is changing, what will happen to your rise time and fall time, right? That also will be changing because that voltage itself is varying. So as a result, the time measurement will also be affected. That is what is called delay uncertainty, right? So delay calculation will also be affected. So you can see here power supply noise is transferred to the input transition of the gate, and then the high and low level of the input transition are respectively VDD plus delta VDD, VSS plus delta VSS. The supply noise, since noise appear both at the gate and source node of the transistor, the delay of the gate changes due to this dependence, increasing the overall delay uncertainty. Right, the output of the second inverter has a low to high transition. The supply noise affects the delay of this transition by changing the maximum gate overdrive voltage of the PMOS transistor. So when the input signal of this inverter is VOL, the gate overdrive voltage is reduced from VSS minus VDD minus VTH equal to VDD minus VSS plus VTH, right? So both are, your power and ground both are affected by noise. So as a result, VGS minus VTH equal to VDD minus VSS plus delta VDD minus delta VSS plus VTH, right? So that is why delta VDD is typically smaller than 0, delta VSS is greater than 0, the gate overdrive voltage is significantly reduced, right? Because as I told you, this VDD is going down and your VSS is going up. So that is why the margin between the two is reducing, right? So gate overdrive voltage slows the charging process of the load capacitor. So finally what will happen? This charging process is slower because current is reduced, because your voltages are reduced. Because the distance between these, right, you can say high and low, this is reducing, this is going up and this is going down. So as a result, another issue is spatial variation of power supply noise within a circuit or a block. The power supply noise can vary along the power supply network due to on-chip parasitic impedances and differences in the current demand of local circuits. So you can say here initially it is delta VDD1 and delta VSS and 1 at the output of the first, you can say first inverter, right? It is delta VSS1 and delta VDD1. First two inverter represent transmitter and last two inverter represent receiver. So special variation of power supply noise create a discrepancy in the voltage between these two circuits, right? Because so this local variation of the power supply noise produce additional delay uncertainty since device operate with different local voltage references, right? As you can see here, this is let's say rising gate. Then this is, you can say your VSS plus delta VSS. And then this is applied to input of this, right? So what will happen here? It is VDD plus delta VDD 1. So the analysis of variation in delay in a buffer circuit due to DC power supply noise is shown here in the circuit. The effect of differential mode delta VDD minus delta VSS and common mode volt noise delta VDD plus delta VSS have been can be calculated, right? So the effect of power supply noise on the timing characteristic of device is there because this delay uncertainty will affect the timing characteristic of the device, and the average power supply noise rather than the peak noise is shown is fundamental metric to determine the timing variation within a data path. That is, from a timing standpoint, a short pulse with a large amplitude can have same effect as a wider pulse with a smaller amplitude, right? So this we have already discussed, right? I would like to show you this. So this is, let's say, your noisy VDD and noisy VSS, and this is your PLL circuit. This is the reference clock. So what will happen at the output of the PLL? So you can see here, this is affected by jitter. This will lead to. So you can see here, this is called clock skew, right? So jitter and skew will be increased because of this delay uncertainty, right? So clock jitter and skew are both sources of delay uncertainty. Since a more comprehensive discussion of clock jitter and skew is earlier we have already done, right? So what is during the clock generation within a phase lock loop, you can see here the rising edge of the clock is not arriving at a standard rate, but it is randomly varying. During the distribution of a clock signal within a network that is coupled to the distribution network, and as a result, all the nodes which are receiving this clock, they all are affected because of this noise. So the second stage where both skew and jitter are generated is the clock distribution network, right? As I told you, in the clock distribution network, further the condition is deteriorated because further this is increased. So clock and jitter is not only generated because this power supply noise, but also it will be generated because of the different paths delay, or maybe some, you can say, inductive noise, etc. while distributing. So your distribution network itself is also generating skew and jitter, right? So that is why this must be under certain condition, right? This noise must be within certain limit, otherwise it may fail your functionality of the digital circuit, right? It may lead to functionality failure. So that is why this must be controlled. So now another is what else will occur because of this power supply noise. So it will degrade the gate oxide reliability. So the gate oxide thickness of MOS transistor, how it degrade, that let us discuss. The gate oxide thickness of MOS transistor has been decreased due to technology scaling. Already we have decreased the thickness. While the reduction in the gate oxide thickness produces faster device due to increase in the current drive capability of the transistor. This procedure also poses serious challenges because already we have reduced the thickness. So one of these challenges is reliability of the oxide layer. Oxide layer reliability is ability of oxide to maintain sufficient dielectric characteristics while being subject to high electric field. In modern CMOS process, the gate oxide thickness has decreased about 10 angstrom, corresponding to only a few molecular layers. This reduction has significantly increased the lateral electric field. Since sufficiently high electric field can cause breakdown or reduce the lifetime of the oxide, the maximum electric field has become the critical factor in determining the upper limit of power supply voltage. So power supply noise is typically smaller than zero, producing a lower power supply voltage for the transistor as compared to nominal voltage. The resonant behavior, however, can change this characteristic, causing power supply voltage to oscillate. As a result, this oscillation, the power supply voltage can exceed the nominal voltage. An increase in the power supply voltage over the nominal voltage can degrade the long-term reliability of the device, not oxide in turn device. The magnitude and settling time of this overshoot in the power supply voltage should be therefore minimized to prevent degradation in the oxide reliability, right? Because it is oscillating. So what is the amplitude? That much variation is appearing at the gate, right? So that will, your gate oxide, which is having a very small thickness, that is affected by this high power supply for momentarily, but that will degrade the oxide for a longer interval of time. So that may lead to maybe failure of the oxide and failure of the, you can say, gate, or you can say device, right? So ultimately it will lead to reliability problem. So next we will be discussing how to overcome this noise. So one is scaling trains for power supply noise. We will be discussing scaling trains which will control this power supply noise, right? So how? So we already know that interconnect model, right? So interconnect, finite length of the interconnect and finite dimension of the interconnect, that will offer some resistance, right? Because although it is a metal, but it is not a superconductor. So that is why it is give a, you can say, distributed resistance. Not only that, it is also giving some inductance. So what we should do if we want to decrease the IR drop, we should reduce the resistance, right? We should find out a scaling scheme which will decrease the value of R. So that will decrease the IR drop, right? Similarly, inductance and currents. So let us see one by one. Scaling factor for the resistance, scaling factor for the inductance, scaling factor for the current, such that resistive and inductive noises are minimized, or you can say controlled. So larger die produce higher current, right? We have already discussed about your, let's say, the scenario from the integration. Earlier, there were, let's say, 10 or 15 transistors were there on the chip. And now we know that the billions of transistors are there packed, you can say whole system, or you can say multiple microprocessors are packed on single chip, right? So that trend has led to larger die size, right? So overall size of the chip is increased, produce higher currents, right? Because what is the total current? Number of loops, right? Each loop current. So number of loop, all the current we will add, right? Say loop number 1 में जो current है plus loop number 2 में जो current है plus loop, right? So that is total current is increased, right? So causes greater current flowing. So larger die produce higher current that cause greater ohmic IR drop. So IR drop is increased at all. Why? Because I is increased. Similarly, faster current transients are also there because your clock speed is increased. So faster current transient cause larger inductive LDI dt noise. The scaling train of on-chip power supply noise have significant practical value, since accurate prediction of power supply noise in newer technology provide valuable intuition and design guideline for on-chip power ground distribution network. These scaling characteristics of power supply noise are therefore discussed in following topic. To estimate the scaling trend for resistive and inductive noise, the scaling characteristic of switching current, interconnect resistance and inductance of the package and interconnect should be determined. Right? So scaling factor for the resistance. So on-chip parasitic resistance is typically greater than package and board resistance due to higher aspect ratio of material property of the on-chip interconnect. Scaling the on-chip resistor rather than off-chip resistance is therefore evaluated to understand the scaling characteristic of resistor noise. So the seat resistance can be used to characterize the scaling factor of on-chip resistance. This method is applied because the line length and line width are the two design parameters for an interconnect, since the thickness is constant for a specific manufacturing technology. The scaling characteristic of resistance per square is the primary issue in understanding the scaling characteristic of resistive noise. Right? So we know that sheet resistance is equal to, you can say, resistivity divided by thickness of the metal, right? So sheet resistance is defined as resistivity divided by thickness of the metal. So the scaling characteristic of sheet resistance therefore depend upon metal thickness scaling factor. Especially according to ideal scaling, the sheet resistance scale is proportionally, right? So our ideal sheet resistance is proportionally scaled. Since the metal thickness is reduced by factor 1 by n in each technology, if the metal thickness is assumed to be constant, the sheet resistance also remains the same. So we should find out the method in which resistance remains constant with the scaling, right? So we have seen such scaling scenarios, right? Where R is not changing, but it is remaining constant from previous technology to the next technology. That is what they want. So constant resistance and constant inductance should be there. So scaling factor for the inductance. So here also scaling scenario for the inductance, that is dimensions of the interconnect, which are defining the inductance, right? They are to be considered, and we should do scaling from one technology to next technology such that your inductance also remain constant. So what are the parameters? They are defining the inductance L. So there you can say spacing between the two conductors, width of the particular wire, and you can say height of the particular wire. So these are the three dimensions which are responsible for defining the inductor. So there, that is why that is called inductance pitch, width, and height of the power grid line. They must be such that from previous generation to next generation that your L may be scaled down by factor S or maybe remain constant, right? You should select width, height, and separation, or you can say pitch between the two nearby power ground line, such that your inductor is scaled down by factor S or maybe remain constant, so that your noise will be within certain limit, and your noise characteristic will not be, your noise should not be increased from previous generation to the next generation. That you must ensure. That is by taking care while scaling the, you can say, interconnect. So scaling factor for the resistance should be such that resistance remain constant or it reduces. Similarly, scaling factor for the inductance such that, means dimension of the interconnect should be such that it will keep the inductance constant, or may at least may will not ensure that will not degrade. Further, scaling factor for the current. So scaling factor for the current, if we discuss, then there are two types of current. One is total current drive capability and total current demand, right? So that is called total current drive capability of the transistor and total current demand of the entire IC. So the total current drive capability is the current per device times the number of device per IC, right? So what is current drive capability of transistor? So you have total number of devices into current pumped into particular device, right? So that is total current. So your total current must be, you can say, scale down by factor S, right? So you must control in short this current, right? So all of the load capacitance does not simultaneously charge or discharge. So what you can do? So you can do something in the scaling, right? But you don't have control actually, right? Because it is also related with speed of the circuit, etc. So ultimately, there are three different parameters which are driving this selection of this current. One is all of the load, what you can do, all of the load capacitance does not simultaneously charge or discharge. So if in order to control, you need to design strategy. So your strategy should be such that all the capacitance will not simultaneously charge, but they will charge alternatively so that your current is controlled, current is reduced, right? Your current demand you can reduce by deciding number of capacitors which are charging and discharging, not simultaneously but alternatively, right? Another is number of interconnect layer may increase with factor smaller than S due to longer fabrication time and lower yield, reducing total current demand. So number of interconnect layer must be increased, right, to meet with this criteria. Another is power supply voltage may decrease by factor smaller than S, increasing the current drive capability of the transistor. So voltage का एकदम excessive scaling नहीं करना चाहिए, right? Voltage को scale down aggressively नहीं करना चाहिए. They want to say. Similarly, aggressively आपको inductor and resistor वगैरह का scaling नहीं करना चाहिए. Otherwise, this noise will be further increased. So you should take care while applying the scaling itself that whether after scaling your circuit will properly function or not related to power supply noise, right? So now we will see on-chip power distribution architectures. So if I say now this is related to noise which will appear while distributing the power supply and ground. Another thing is power distribution architectures, right? Just like clock distribution architecture. So there are few power distribution architectures. One is called routed network. There are actually 8 to 9 different ways to distribute the power and ground. First is routed network, then irregular mass structure network. Third is regular grid structure network. Fourth is power ground planes, then cascaded power ground rings, hybrid power ground network, right? So there are 6 different ways for distributing the power supply. I will show you the diagrams next time. Okay. So I think our time is over. So students, you can leave the meeting. Thank you very much. You can leave the meeting. Quickly, you can leave the meeting. Thank you so much. Thank you. We'll discuss on-chip power distribution architectures next time. And students, don't worry. 5 and 6 chapter ka material I will put on the shared drive. Okay. Or I will email. Okay. So don't worry. I will email today the syllabus for the past test which is going to occur on Wednesday. Okay. Thank you very much. So you can leave the meeting. Thank you very much. You can leave the meeting, student. I am ending it.